Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, it's time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayla's gone. Come on, touchdown, Indy! Woo! IU! America! They got a football team now!
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, from the Hard Truth Studios, here's Jim Coyle.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio here, coming to you on this post-Christmas day. I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas holiday, getting ready for the new year. Jim Coyle here, coming to you from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios, as always, on this Thursday. It's kind of hard to keep the days in line right now, but we're going to do our best. Appreciate you. I hope you had a great start to the week. And I know it's weird when you have holidays in the middle of the week, but it is what it is. We'll get to it. We'll get through it. Looking forward to talking to Coach Griffith, Bob Kravitz, Denari on the program today. And most importantly, each and every one of you. Glad to have you along, and looking forward to hearing some of your Christmas stories. Things that you look forward to coming up and that you had happen sports-wise. Some great sports stories, of course, this year. The portal action continues now. Bowl season is upon us, and basketball season continues. Appreciate everybody joining us, jumping on no matter where and how you're listening, whether it's on one of our great affiliates like 97.7 ESPN, the Ref, always the right call down in Evansville, or the voice of the region, 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, WJOB, and, of course, Fort Wayne's only sports station, 1380 The Fan. Keep it locked on these stations right here. No reason to go anywhere else. You've got it. You'll get all you need, keeping it locked right where you got it. Appreciate you jumping on today. Coach Shannon will be along as well. We'll talk some football, kind of wrap up the season, but the season never stops now with the transfer portal continuing to move. And Indiana, of course, looks to have their quarterback of the future, not only for a year. That's the great thing about Fernando Mendoza, the brother of Alberto, that they apparently have landed. But he's got 2 years of eligibility remaining. That is a huge, huge thing for Indiana and for this Indiana offense. So looking forward to talking about that and much more as we get through the holiday season, as the holidays continue to roll. We've got New Year's coming up next. Looking forward to that one. But I think this should be a holiday after the holiday. Especially Christmas. You can't have an all-day Christmas, family, friends, no matter what you're doing, and then have to get back to the regularity of life after that. Yeah, I don't know what the exact number is right now. Offensive line is where Indiana needs to really beef up, in my opinion. That was the biggest need. Of course, you have to have a quarterback. In Indiana, I don't think the kid that had decommitted from Ball State has committed yet, at least not to my knowledge, but that will be a quarterback in the 2025 class. So they didn't sign a kid from high school this year. That'll take care of that. But always needs, man, always needs. What's Quinn Ewers going to do? How'd you like to be Quinn Ewers, the starting quarterback for a team that many think can win the national championship? And when you say, yes, he's committed, whom do you speak of? I don't have everything pulled up, and I'm going to tell you, I took yesterday off. I didn't look at anything. I didn't study anything. I wanted to try to enjoy a day off. So you'll be catching me up just as much on things like that as far as who is. But, yep, Jacob Bell, the quarterback. So Indiana signs 2 quarterbacks here. They get, well, they haven't signed. I don't know if Fernando is signed, but he is committed to Indiana. Fernando Mendoza, the Cal transfer, threw for over 3,000 yards last year, 16 touchdowns, only 6 INTs. And that's a guy that Indiana will have for another 2 years. That is huge. He has been successful from day one as a freshman. He threw for like 1,700 yards as a freshman, and he didn't start from day one. Yep. That's Josh, the kid from Josh Bell from Naperville. Josh Bell from Naperville. But yeah, that one got away from Illinois. How mobile is Mendoza? Mobile enough. He's not what I would call a dual threat quarterback per se, but he can run. He's more of a pocket passer, which is fine when you're throwing for as many yards as he does, but he's quite capable of doing that. Rarely are you going to find a guy who's throwing for that many yards that's running the ball, because it's hard to pile up that many yards while you're running the ball. So, Fred asking how many quarterbacks. I believe that's 4. I mean, you've got the 2 Mendoza brothers. You've got Tyler Cherry. This kid, if I'm missing someone, it's someone that I'm not thinking of, but these are the main 4 that I'm aware of. And it's set up in succession for Indiana, but it's going to create some competition, which is what you have to have, what you want. Tyler Cherry, it's going to be time for him to start competing. Alberto in the next year, so it's going to be time for him to start competing. So Fernando's senior year, there should be competition at quarterback. Now, will all those guys still be there? Who knows? That stuff changes. We'll see. But Indiana got the quarterback that it needed. I mean, as soon as I saw that he had entered the portal, someone made it aware to me, or made me aware of it. I said, man, that's a Cignetti type of quarterback right there. And it is, and it was. I didn't know whether or not that he would come to Indiana because of his brother. But these guys have played on the same high school team together. Alberto followed Fernando in high school. So could you have that? Maybe. There's Santa Claus Pete. But yeah, Indiana has a lot coming back, as Indiana Creekwalker pointing out. Aiden Fisher said he's coming back. D'Angelo Pons is coming back. Kamara coming back. That's huge. Huge for Indiana. Now they have to fill in the pieces. Pecan says Wisconsin is getting crushed in the portal. Illinois stealing them blind on defense. That's troublesome for Wisconsin, because they did not have the season Luke Fickell had hoped. And there's pressure on him. This is going to be season number 3 for Luke Fickell. It's time to show. It's time to put up for the Badgers. And they're going to have to come up with something, because it has not gone the way that the Badger fans are accustomed to or would like to see it. There's no question about that. and getting hit in the portal. Not what they need to see right now. But we'll talk to Coach Griffith about that and much more, along with Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com when those guys join. Looking forward to it. See how their Christmas holiday went. Hope yours went well. Was it an enjoyable time? Did you go do something fun? I'll be honest with you. Christmas Eve was great. Spent that with my daughter. And Christmas Day, I got a lot of relaxation. I didn't even watch games hardly. It was just a day of rest, and I enjoyed it immensely. Not gonna lie, it was pretty good to get that out there. Got some people. Yes, I agree. Indiana needs offensive linemen. To me, that's an area that they should be focusing on. Because there was nothing made more aware to people that was the case. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. A little sooner than normal. Coach Griffith, we'll get him in on the conversation. Looking forward to it. Glad to have you guys along. Thanks a lot for being with us on this post-Christmas broadcast. Back with more from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios right after this break.
At Ben Davis Chevrolet and Ben Davis Ford in Auburn, we're your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs. We have the area's best selection of over 300 vehicles, including new cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles in stock. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll find it for you. We also have top-of-the-line service and parts, plus a collision repair center, and we're competitively priced on everything. For sales, service, collision, parts, and more, we do it all. Come see us today or visit us online at bendavischevrolet.com and bendavisford.com.
Enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle with the Fresh Fork. Chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. Proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at thefreshforkonline.com. Use promo code RADIO20 and get $20 off your first order.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com.
Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Marie in Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Marie Island, Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's Sour Mash Bourbons, Sweet Mash, and Hard Road Ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular Toasted Coconut Rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, here from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this post-Christmas Thursday. Glad to have you. Glad to be here. Coach Shannon Griffith joining us now. Coach, how was your Christmas?
Couldn't be better. It was great. My son Isaac got up from Orlando, so we had all the kids in the house, plus all the dogs that were here. It was an amazing time. Had a whole house of kids and dogs, so there you go.
So was it kind of like Christmas vacation?
Just a little bit.
Did Snot show up?
Yeah, Snot showed up. That's right.
Cousin Eddie? Jeff Cousin Eddie?
Yeah, cousin Eddie. We dodged cousin Eddie, but
Pooper's full.
It's about right around here. But
and it's not Christmas if you don't watch Christmas Vacation. Let me tell you,
at least twice. That's
got to be my all-time favorite movie. I mean, Love Actually is great, but that's Cousin Eddie and all of that. That's just it's hard to beat.
Yeah, you can't beat Christmas Vacation. Yeah, you got to watch it at least twice and laugh at all the different things that you missed the first time around.
Absolutely. It is been Christmas for Indiana as the portal season has been good to Indiana. They we talked about this quite a bit, but I can't get it out. But Fernando Mendoza signs he hasn't signed with Indiana, commits to Indiana. Then they also get a commitment from a 2025 quarterback, which is nice. But here's my thing with this. Why would you sign if you're going to be a freshman? My personal opinion is he was going to Ball State. I think he should have went to Ball State.
Yeah.
He's not going to play in Indiana for 3 years minimum at the least possible and go get some experience, because I don't know that you're ever going to see a quarterback, at least at Indiana, start that is a freshman that was a freshman and works his way up. I don't think that's going to happen anymore.
No, and the nice thing about Fernando is that he's got 2 years, so that helps in that regard.
That's great. Yeah, I'm talking about
that's what I mean.
Bell.
Well, the thing that
he's
Fernando gives them is that they don't have to go in year out into the portal to find somebody. It allows Tyler Cherry and Alberto to grow again. Now, one of those two may leave, or you got to kind of have something in your back pocket. And with the new rules coming aboard here on terms of squad size and all that good stuff, I was a little surprised that they took Bell. But
I'm surprised that not that they took Bell. I'm surprised that Bell. I'm saying if I'm an incoming freshman, there's no way he's not going to get any playing time. Now, he could be looking at it from the standpoint of the coaching is going to be far superior than he would have received. The competition is going to be far superior than he would have faced. The Indiana hiring the new coach with the NFL experience, something he would not have received. So there's a lot of positives. If you're fine knowing that, hey, I'm not going to play for the next 3 years probably, then that makes sense. But if you think you're going to want to play in the next year or so, that's not happening.
Yeah, and it kind of goes in the scenario with what Michigan end up doing by offering Chase Herbstreit out of Cincinnati late and him signing with them.
Dude, that was all about, if his name wasn't Herbstreit, I don't think he gets
I guess what I'm trying to say is I think all these teams now are almost giving a scholarship for that scout team quarterback, the guy that's going to be sense. You know what I mean? And then then the guys that they're wanting to really evaluate and work are the guys going to get the reps up with, the first and second team. But anyway, you look at it, the best thing about the equation is getting Fernando. I've been watching some tape on him. He is he's a big kid, but he is a different type of quarterback than what Curtis was. He's going to have more mobility. He can run the football. They can orchestrate the quarterback run game into their run offense as well. And, being that he's a big, tall, kind of, big stride kid, he's actually pretty fast. And there's a lot of positives about him as a quarterback working with this offense under Shanahan. And then this, of course, the new quarterback coach, Whitmer, I believe. So you couldn't be happier with what has been orchestrated here over the last couple of days. I think they probably knew some of these commitments already, but you know how they do it now. They roll it out at certain times so that they're always appearing in front of the media, and it's not just a one big, here we are release of names. So, Fernando's big. I think getting Himby, the running back that came from Maryland, that kid's a very good running back. The tight
solid,
end,
experienced,
yeah,
plug and play type player.
Yeah. And I think the best thing about him, with Black coming back as of what I'm understanding as well, that gives him a good 1-2 punch again in that backfield. But Himby's got a little bit more speed than what we've been accustomed to. So that's a nice thing there. The getting the wide receiver from App State as well. I think is that Jackson? Yeah, Jackson, who played with Surratt when they both were at St. Francis. That's the funniest. I mean, that story right there is crazy. These are two kids that went to non-scholarship institutions that went on to the Sun Belt and had pretty good starts in the Sun Belt. And now what Surratt did in the Big Ten last year, now adding the Jackson kid who's 6 foot, 190 pounds, who had a phenomenal season with App State. Again, we've all of a sudden we get some top-notch guys that can be immediate impact players for Indiana. And I don't want to forget the D lineman that committed from Western Kentucky, who was also highly sought after. He's going to be an instant replacement there for Carpenter or CJ West to add next to Kamara, who was probably the biggest name that made Brian Haynes very happy heading into Christmas, knowing that he was going to be back along the front, and then adding the transfer from Western Kentucky. That in itself is a huge get for Indiana. So all in all, a pretty good start to a portal season that we all thought was going to be a little bit more difficult this year, just because Indiana being in the college football playoffs. But got to say, they were able to walk and chew gum at the same time.
Yeah, the question, I wonder where Taven Jackson will end up. This is not meant to be negative, but he's not going to be the most sought after quarterback. I think he will be looked at as what he was this season, a decent, solid backup quarterback for someone. And if you are leaving a team like Indiana that had an opening, that tells me that they're not viewing you as the guy, which I didn't think he was going to be the guy next year. I told a lot of people Jackson will not be the starting quarterback next season. And so that's going to tell other places that, they don't think he's a starter. So,
well, I think there'll be somebody that takes a chance on him just because of what you see in his numbers impressively in terms of height, size, arm strength. He throws a great ball, athleticism, all those things. I think if Taven is looking for a place to go where he is going to be, quote unquote, the man, he's going to end up in the Mid-American Conference or, Conference USA, Sun Belt, some type of those schools. Because I don't see him being picked up by another Big Ten school. So I do think if he's looking for a place to go play, and that's his main objective, then he's going to go to the mid-major route where he can immediately be a factor and get on the field potentially.
Yeah, that'll be something. Robert pointing out that there's about 247 days till kickoff. I point that out only because never has anyone pointed out how many days till kickoff there were immediately following an Indiana football season.
Yeah, that's right.
And it has usually and always been, thank goodness basketball is here.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about basketball right now. I mean, with good reason, I get that, but it's not even so much about basketball. It's about what happened with football.
Yeah. And, I think people are probably clamoring to get season tickets now as well, because I think you'll see that go up in terms of the number of people buying season tickets. So that's going to be a big positive. And well, the other thing is the number of people that is talking about Indiana, not just within the family circle, but even on the national media spotlight, even though some of that's just degrading Indiana for being in the college football playoffs, but it's still there's always good publicity when people are talking about you, irregardless, because of the debate factor and things like that. It's out in the front, and Sig's taking some shots, some warranted, I guess you could say, but it's all good when Indiana's being talked about in a football sense as opposed to basketball. So that all will be good. I think it's going to be interesting this off season to see all the changes come about because of, the profit sharing aspect, the settlement of the NCAA lawsuit, what the new numbers are going to be as it pertains to, team squad size. I was talking to my son. He got a letter from the settlement aspect of things that was giving him a number of what he will get in terms of the time that he was at Indiana and playing. And I was astonished when I saw the number. And it's just crazy to think that there's going to be a lot of football players not playing now that are going to get a nice little payday when this is all settled. So this offseason will be interesting again.
And he's done playing?
Yeah. Well, my son blew his knee out at Penn State in 2015, and that ended his career. But
you wouldn't want to share that number, would you?
Huh? Yeah, I better not. I'll let him share that number. I just put it this way. I was surprised about that number. And consider this. I mean, he played because he's injured. I do believe it was calculated off the number of years you played. So he had 2 years of playing. So I don't know if a 4 year.
Well, hopefully you can join us again later in the show if you're not if you're going to be around. I'd love to talk about this more. Does that work?
Yeah, we can do that. Cool. And all the good football stuff that recruiting and
we got tons to talk about. Perfect. We'll take a break and get to Bob Kravitz, and Chris will join us later, and then we'll get back to Shannon. We'll talk. We've got plenty more to talk about, brother. Sounds like a winner.
Yeah, just text me when you're thinking about me coming back.
That'll work, man. I appreciate you. Coach Shannon Griffith joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Up next, Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com. Once we return. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. with a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music. You can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-701-0838. 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore help you find the home you want today.
At Ben Davis Chevrolet and Ben Davis Ford in Auburn, we're your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs. We have the area's best selection of over 300 vehicles, including new cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles in stock. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll find it for you. We also have top-of-the-line service and parts, plus a collision repair center, and we're competitively priced on everything. For sales, service, collision, parts, and more, we do it all. Come see us today or visit us online at bendavischevrolet.com and bendavisford.com.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, here on this post-Christmas Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Kwanzaa, or is it
yeah, I think
Kwanzaa?
That sounds right. Yeah, happy all those things to you, buddy.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Hope you're having a good season, happy season, a successful season. I just changed it to that. Here we go. That encompasses everything.
Yes, I made out like a bandit, man. It's all good.
It's all good, man. You know, I don't know how long. I loved Breaking Bad and Saul the Saul Goodman, the following show. I don't know how long it was before I knew that Saul Goodman, the name, was just a play off of It's All Good, Man.
I had no idea.
Oh, yeah. Saul Goodman. Did you ever watch that show?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I loved it. Well, that Saul Goodman, his name just came from Saul Good, man.
I had no idea. The things you learn when you come on this show.
I'm telling you, Bob, I love it. You're always learning new things. It makes me feel like
I am. It just shows how completely ignorant I am on so many subjects.
No, it just shows that your brain is spending its time in wiser, more prosperous places.
All right. Do we have to talk about that IU game or what?
Well, first of all, I've got to say, I met George and Julie Carlin up in South Bend, and I have forgotten every time I've done the show since then to give them a shout out. Super, super, super nice people, and their friend Karen the night before the game, and I have been meaning to give them a shout out. They listen to the show all the time, watch the show all the time. And so anybody that knows George or Julie, if they're not listening, make sure you tell them that we gave them a shout out because I have forgotten and I apologize, but they are great. Now, what was your question?
No, I just I said, do we have to talk about the IU game? I guess we do.
Well, yeah, we've got to talk about it, but here's the thing. It came down to the same thing on offensive line. Indiana does not have the offensive line to play with the elite right now.
Nope.
But the thing that amazes me is they're not making adjustments to deal with that by running a different offense, either a faster offense, a faster attacking offense. And I know there's only so much you can do when the opposing team may have faster players in certain positions, but adjust to that. If there is an adjustment, I didn't see an attempt.
I'd like to see him throw some screens, some quick quick bubble screens.
Yes.
Just to get
three-step drops. Just three-step drops.
Yeah, just get them thinking a little bit defensively. I mean, they were just, ears pinned back. They were just coming. I'll be honest with you. I think Notre Dame and IU could play 10 times and Notre Dame would beat them 9. I think that's the bottom line. They're just, look, they're a bunch of 4 and 5 stars. There's a reason why you get recruited to Notre Dame.
None of these guys are dumb either. Let's not
that anybody else is. Guys, right?
These guys are all. It's very tough academically to get into Notre Dame, so these are all smart guys.
Right, and I just think it comes down to the Jimmies and Joes.
Exactly. And while Indiana, I was just talking about this with Coach Shannon. Indiana doing another good job in the portal, landing certain players.
Yes.
Players that I think they need to be landing are some big-time offensive linemen.
Yeah.
I noticed some comments about what they have coming in freshman-wise. Yeah, I don't care about a freshman OL. A freshman lineman is going to get knocked on his ass by a senior from, Auburn or Penn State or wherever. These guys are men.
That's exactly right.
If they've been in the system for 4 years, let me tell you, they're men. And that's the difference. That is where Indiana is going to have to upgrade to compete at the upper level. Now, I'm not saying they didn't belong in the CFP, because they did. I have no doubt that they belong there, because I can tell you who did not. And that's Alabama and Ole Miss.
You bet.
Any team that lost their last game of the season, because they couldn't score more than 3 points against a team with a sub 500 record,
right?
Any team that lost at home to a 4-8 Kentucky team, no, I'm sorry, shut up. Like, I love Lane Kiffin, but I'm like, dude, shut up.
Yeah,
and Tennessee gets beat worse than anybody in the CFP.
I've been blown away by Kirk Herbstreit, who I really like, but he's like, well, the wins are overrated. What in the bleep are you judging these people on? Of course, wins are not overrated. You lose 3 games, including the games that you referenced. You don't belong there. And look, did Indiana have a tough schedule? Look, I agree with those who are giving Sig a rash and a crap because of what he said before the game. I thought that was kind of silly.
I didn't see all of that.
Okay,
I heard about it later.
He said we kicked the bleep out of top 25 teams. He referenced Coastal Carolina 3 years ago. He referenced Nebraska, who I think was rated 25. I mean, I think he got a little too full of himself, and I think he loved the attention that was coming with all that kind of talk. I'm sorry?
He's tired of defending his team, and I understand that, but he went the wrong direction.
Yeah, he did. He did. So, look, he's getting a little crap. He deserves it. But you know what? This is one of the great coaching jobs in the history of coaching jobs. for him to take this group that had won 10 games, 11 games in the previous 3 years, and to rebuild it and to do what they've done. Nothing should not be diminished because of the way it ended.
Oh no, and I don't think that it is. I now moving forward, Indiana has to focus on this offensive line and building it up to be an offensive line. Now, I haven't seen a ton of that yet. Is that because of what they have coming back? And if we realize Indiana had 2 serious injuries. Now, I'm not talking about Curtis Rourke, who was out for a game.
Drew Evans.
He came back. It's the Drew Evans and the kid they lost before the season started at right tackle, I think. So they lost 2 guys for the season off of the offensive line.
Right.
Does that make a difference? Probably.
Yeah.
It probably does.
I wonder too, Jim, with Rourke. I wonder how much that thumb still affected him.
Dude, I saw a picture of that thumb, and it was ugly.
It was ugly.
The nail was halfway grown back, but it was swollen.
Yeah, I saw the same thing that you did. And, for those of us who were there that night, it was bitter. It was bitter, cold, and a little bit windy. And, IU plays more of a high wire game. They try to get their wide receivers one-on-one on the outside, make that back shoulder pass. And I did a radio show before the game with a Bloomington station. I said, looking at the weather conditions, I think IU is going to have a hard time getting its passing game going. And they poo-pooed me because he's a Canadian quarterback. I said, no, it's just hard. It's hard for anybody to throw in those conditions and to catch.
Plus you add that thumb to it, and it doesn't matter where you can come from the North Pole, and it doesn't really matter. That's your one digit that grips that ball on the opposite side of your fingers. So if you don't have that, you're almost just pushing the ball.
Right.
And
right.
It just wasn't.
He wasn't right. I mean, clearly he wasn't right. And I think that early interception really hurt him confidence. While I saw him get rattled for the first time that I can remember this season.
And that's another issue to point out. This game, if you take that interception away and Indiana scores there, because they're within the 5-yard line. So it's not like they're at the 40 and I'm saying this. If they score there, this game, who knows what happens. Then you got this kid for Notre Dame that hits a 49-yard field goal in these Arctic weather, that he has not been a great kicker.
No.
Knocks down a 49-yard touchdown. So field goal that did not
look. So. Notre Dame played lights out. They really did, and I think IU kind of hit the glass ceiling. I think they looked. What bothered me about the game, Jim, and it wouldn't have made any difference in the outcome, but I would have liked to have seen Cignetti play a little more balls to the wall.
Well, yes, and there's a couple. Steven just thinks that Rourke choked. He says he can't play in big games. He's the reason they lost the game. It's not the front line. Well, I disagree with that, because if you don't have time to throw and you don't have holes for the running backs to run through, your offense is not going to go anywhere, and they could not establish the run in this game at Notre Dame. And so he did not have time to throw. I don't think that he choked. I think it's a combination of things that we just talked about, is my opinion. But Indiana has got to get itself ready to be in position to play in these games, because they're going to have to play at Penn State, at Oregon next year. But even if they lose both of those games and go 10-2, they're going to have good wins over some teams and be in the conversation for the CFP again. This is a problem with how they performed this year, is that will be in the minds of people next season. So
they're going to be the hunted a little bit now.
Well, I'm talking about the committee when next season, when it's around
committee,
for the
each season
10-2 going into that's going to be in the back of people's minds. Now their schedule's a little different. I can't remember. I know they play Wisconsin at home. So, but how good is Wisconsin going to be? They're not the Wisconsin of old right now.
Right. No, it just drives it kind of I enjoyed the fact that all the other teams got blown out too. It just happened that the whole country was watching on Friday night. There's nothing else to watch, and IU got its brains beat in, and so everybody immediately pointed to, well, IU doesn't deserve to go in. Well, SMU got crushed. Tennessee got crushed. I mean, all the underdogs got crushed in the first round on campus.
All home teams won.
All the home teams won handily. So, what happened to IU is not,
They had the closest game of the four.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking when they almost recovered that last onside kick, and I was thinking, this is going to be the mother of all backdoor covers.
It almost was, and the fact that they were within 10 of Notre Dame at Notre Dame in those conditions. Why they're receiving the grief that they are, I don't know, because you look at the other games, Tennessee was absolutely demoralized, and they had 30% of the fans in the stands.
More than that.
So Tennessee just got crushed, but yet Lane Kiffin didn't say a word about that. He went silent. He went radio silent on his tweeting during that portion of the CFP, which was kind of funny. But you know what? For him to be running his mouth, I'm like, dude, you cannot lose to a 4-8. How does he expect a 4-8 team or a team that lost to a 4-8 team? And I don't even know what Florida ended up, but they lose at Florida their last game of the year.
Right.
It's just those SEC teams, just because they're SEC, they had their opportunities. Alabama absolutely did not deserve, and I love Kalen DeBoer, but you cannot go into a crappy Oklahoma team and not score a single offensive point.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And excuse me. Yeah, I mean, they gave IU all this crap. And I mean, Kirk Herbstreit's saying, well, let's just go with the best teams. Well, first of all, we determine the best teams by having a regular season. Let's not diminish the importance of a regular season. And, why don't you just pick the teams before the season, because they've got the most professional candidates. They got the most guys with the highest number of stars next to their name. I mean, this is what makes the NCAA basketball tournament so great, and people are just overreacting to one rash of blowouts. And I mean, that's insane. It's too small of a sample size.
Well, Bob, if you go back and you look at the CFP when there were 4 teams, there were blowouts bigger than this.
Right.
I mean, TCU lost by 1,000 in the national championship game.
Right.
I mean, seriously, they got their brains beat in. So, and now we've got a Georgia team that is going in with their backup quarterback.
Right.
I mean, if this was anybody but an SEC team, they would have been hollering for them to belong.
Well, I think they could have, thrown the FSU thing at them. Well, they lost, but they won their conference, so it was an automatic bid, right? So, there's just nothing that you could do. But I mean, the SEC feels like it's a birthright to have multiple selections in there, and it's just not the way it works.
Yeah, I'm really over the SEC talk. The SEC is just pissed because they didn't get 4 teams in.
Right.
And that's their own fault.
Of course it
And
is.
it's not because they were so good that they beat up on each other. No, the crappy teams beat some of your mid-level teams.
And then I'm seeing their commissioner screaming about how they're going to change the way they schedule, and I'm like,
Yeah,
they're not.
You already have 4 non-conference games.
They have 4 non-conference games. They're usually garbage games. Maybe one is against a good team. What are they talking about? I mean, these teams got beat by fellow SEC teams. You know, I mean, Alabama got beat by
weak SEC
weak teams. Exactly. So I don't know. It's very tiresome. I'm getting tired of Paul Feinbaum. I'm getting tired of Herbie. They're entitled to their opinion.
And
but,
Herbstreit is one that really should. Now, he works for ESPN. That's the thing. And ESPN has the contract with the CFP and SEC, not the Big Ten. They don't do Big Ten games. So I don't know if that plays into it.
I don't want him to be to just sit there and tell us things that aren't true because they have the contract with the CFP. But at least be fair. I mean, was it Sean McDonough toward the end of the game, the IU and Notre Dame game was ripping IU pretty good, saying, well, this raises the question of whether Indiana deserved to be here. Of course they deserve to be here. Of course.
I mean, it's like every game had to be a one-score last drive game. And I'm like, first of all, that doesn't happen in every game, period. It doesn't matter. No. And again, it's like they all have amnesia as to how all these other games went prior to it being to this. So the excitement was there that no one had seen before. The on-campus games were something of excitement, but also at the same time, they've got to make changes. You cannot have, if you're going to have an on-campus game, you cannot give 100% of the ticket or 95% of the tickets to the home team. In the NCAA tournament, part of the great thing about it is they're all neutral courts. Everyone has the same opportunity fan-wise to support their team. So it's a tournament
but it's supposed to be a home field advantage. That's why.
But being at home is enough of a home field advantage to me. You don't need 95% of the fans in a playoff scenario. I'm fine if they're going to do a home scenario, home site. I'm cool with that, but you have to give up half the tickets.
Whoa, good luck with that.
I guarantee you that will be a change because it's just not. Yes, it's not. I think that playing on your home field is enough of a home field advantage. You don't need to have all of the fans as well, because then now you're putting the opposing team at a complete disadvantage.
Right.
And they're already the lower seed. They're supposed to lose. It's like you're doing everything possible to make that game not be as good a game as you can.
Yeah, I was a little surprised, but not completely. That there was just a smattering of red. I mean, you were at the game. You saw it.
It was hard to find because they had to see a section or two, but then they were spread out.
Yeah.
It certainly was not like Tennessee managed at Ohio State, and I don't know if that was Ohio State fans just being upset and selling off their tickets. But what's up next for you, brother?
Well, I'm probably going to write something about the whole IU, the fallout from all this. I got Pacers are playing well. They've got Oklahoma City tonight, which should be a real good game. And of course, the Colts continue on their trip to nowhere on Sunday against the New York Giants. So I'll be writing off of that.
Looking forward to it. Pacers rolling, man.
They are playing really good basketball, 5 in a row. They went on the West Coast and won all their games. So they're starting to come. I thought they would. It's just a matter of time getting Halliburton straightened away. And also, they got 3 guys. Neesmith is still out, but Nembhard coming back was huge. And so was Shepherd, because those 3 guys are their best perimeter defenders. They're really the connective tissue of this team. and without them, they just don't operate as well as they normally do. So I think they're ready to go on a big run here.
Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com. Make sure you are a subscriber and being a follow. Appreciate you, my brother.
My brother, thank you.
Absolutely. Back with more here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Following these messages. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. Hoosier Hanks East, located on College Ball Road in front of Kroger in Bloomington, is everything you could want. Great food like their custom pizzas, wings, wraps, unbeatable daily drink specials, live music on Fridays, and Hoosier Hanks East is home to Inside Indiana Football and Inside Indiana Basketball coaches shows hosted by Don Fisher. Be on the lookout for Hoosier Hanks ticket giveaways to Indiana and Colts games on social media. Stop by and meet Hoosier Hank at Hoosier Hanks East on College Ball Road in Bloomington. Hungry for something a little different? Well, head to the Rusty Gator Fork and Ale in Bedford, where oceanic flavors meet Southern charm with a Cajun flair, like their loaded voodoo fries, gator bites, or jambalaya, and so much more. The Rusty Gator also has live music each Friday and Saturday night with some of the best local and regional artists around. Visit the Rusty Gator Fork and Ale in Bedford and get your Cajun on. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-701-0838. 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore help you find the home you want today. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this Thursday, post-Christmas celebration. I hope you had a happy holiday, happy Christmas Eve, Christmas, and got to see the family, have some food, got a present or two. I got to spend it with my daughter, Kylie, so very, very happy about that. And Indiana football picking up a lot of guys in the portal, covering a lot of different positions. The one I'd like to see them cover up, though, is, like I said, offensive line. Of course, they know more about what their needs are than I do, but just judging, I think they have to build the depth. I know that there are some freshmen coming in, but you cannot rely on freshmen at that position. And they need to fill. I think they need to get some guys that are what would be considered starters and let them compete, because you're not going to make it through a season without injuries to the offensive line. That's probably an area where you receive more injuries than not. Those guys in the trenches on both sides. Indiana was very fortunate to get through the season without a major injury anywhere else other than the two to the offensive lineman. Of course, Curtis Rourke missed a game and a half because of his thumb injury, but I think that lingered. So that would be considered a serious injury, especially when it's your quarterback. They managed to get by the Washington game with their backup quarterback, Taven Jackson, filling in. Obviously, the production was cut in half, so you saw that there was a difference in quarterbacks without question, but they got it straightened out now. Heading into next season, Indiana has Fernando Mendoza at the helm. He threw for 3,004 yards last year for a Cal team, 16 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions. But Fernando has 2 seasons of eligibility remaining, and that is going to bode very, very well for the Indiana Hoosiers and Kurt Cignetti. Now, they need to beef that offensive lineup, as we have spoken. They picked up another receiver from App State, Mekhi Jackson. He's just a junior, so another multi-year guy for the Hoosiers after they lost a lot of talent. Miles Price, Miles Cross, and Keyshawn Williams all ran out of eligibility. So, but you've got Omar Cooper back, you've got Elijah Surratt back, and now you add 6-foot Mekhi Jackson to that as well. So Indiana and Fernando Mendoza. So Indiana building up the offense, keeping it up to snuff. But like I said, I really want to see some offensive linemen in there if I was building on that. And that has to be something that just sticks out when you look at the teams that are ahead of Indiana as far as the CFP, Oregon, Texas, Georgia, Ohio State. Those teams are all bulky on the offensive line. And the Notre Dame game was not about bulk or strength. Notre Dame, their defensive line was smaller than most, but they were faster. They were quicker. So that was an issue. And I don't believe that Curtis Rourke choked in any of these games that were losses. It's not about choking. I mean, he's going to do the same thing he's done. If he has the time to throw the ball, he's going to throw the ball. Now, however, he missed some throws in that game, but after seeing a picture of that thumb, I really wonder how accurately he could throw the ball in that frigid weather. And that's just a tough thing to come back for him. And obviously it was not optimal. So Coach Shannon Griffith will be rejoining us, and we'll talk more about everything that has gone on and will go on. Fred says Nebraska basketball won the Hawaiian Diamond Head Classic Championship on Christmas Day, beating Oregon State. A trophy for them. Yeah. Indiana has lost 4 straight to the Cornhuskers. So you got that. Pecan says, look at the bull you went through, and they were damn near unbeaten. You'll never see it again. Only Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, and USC. Well, they'll be good next year. I think Indiana wins 10 games next year, to be honest with you. They've got the 2 rough road games at Penn State and Oregon, which are going to be very difficult to overcome. Oregon is a tough place to play, as is Penn State. Not that they can't play well, but they have not shown me yet that they can play well in these large environments. And it's not one player. It's not one person. There have been things that have called into question at those times, play calling, play adjustment offensively. So there's no way to place the blame on one person, one position, because it has been different both times. So Rick asking, how do you think that the Mendoza brothers will do together? Also, it appears Taven Jackson was told he probably was not going to start. Thoughts? Well, I assumed that already. I mean, that's not something that I did not already think. As I've said numerous times, Rick, if you follow along, I've said that Taven is even go back to last season. At the beginning of the season, I said that the starter is going to be and should have been not Taven Jackson. And then 6 games in, they make the change. He's a good athlete, a really good athlete. He's a good quarterback, but he's not a great quarterback. He makes enough mistakes that obviously keeps him from being where Kurt Cignetti wants him to be, because obviously that was a conversation that was had. There's a reason they brought in Fernando Mendoza, because you see a guy who has thrown for 3,000 yards as a sophomore. That is maturity. That is the ability to make the right decisions and the right throws. And as far as the Mendoza brothers playing together, they've done that before in high school. Alberto followed Fernando in Miami. I think that they'll do fine. As a matter of fact, Indiana could only do so well to have them follow each other. But that's going to set up some great competition, and it will from now on. The days of watching a quarterback come in as a freshman, that's why I questioned Jacob Bell coming in. Why you would go other than to come in for the ancillary reasons of the coaching of everything else that he could possibly get, that he's not going to get at Ball State. You're not going to get the coaching at Ball State that he's going to get at Indiana. He's not going to get the opportunities. He's not going to get the challenges. He's not going to see the teams. He's not going to see the type of offense, the play calls, the defenses, the learning of the adjustments. So that in and of itself is a good enough reason for someone to go anywhere else. Pecan says the soul has been ripped out of IU basketball. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I will say that it is probably not going to be a fun winter for Indiana basketball fans. But again, that is something that I've said over and over. For all of you, and I'm not proposing it, I'm not suggesting it, I'm just acknowledging, for those of the fans that are wanting a change at the top, it's not going to be a fun year then. They're not going to have a successful season and then make a change. So if change is what you want, then you need to prepare for a not fun winter. And that is kind of what I expect anyway. It's not, I expect an average season for Indiana. I do not see this team making the NCAA tournament. I think they're going to be one of the, not only do I not see them making the NCAA tournament, I think that they will have a first round game in the Big Ten tournament. That's my opinion, just from what I've seen from this team, what I've seen from other teams, what I know else is in this league that Indiana will have to cover. They've got one more non-conference game that comes up on when is that? Sunday? Not until Sunday. So we've got a few days away from that when they'll take on a Winthrop team. Recently, they beat Chattanooga on when was that, last Saturday? Well, this is an issue for Indiana. They lose to Nebraska. How do you come out and follow that? Do you blow Chattanooga off the floor? No. You let that be a single-digit game right up till the end. You end up winning by 9. This is the exact same position Indiana was in last season. Barely beating teams that they're supposed to beat by single digits, getting backwards in the metrics, 0 wins against a quality non-conference team. And now you go into conference play having to make up for that. Unfortunately, now you're going to go into a tougher Big Ten conference this season than it was last season, which means you're going to have to work harder and do more to make up for what you've not accomplished in the pre-conference. I don't see that happening. I just don't see it happening. And it doesn't, the where and the why, I think that doesn't even need to be beat till I have my opinion on it. That makes no sense to me, Russell. I don't understand that comment. talking about if Woody retired, would Kelsey from Louisville consider IU? Well, first of all, he's just been at Louisville for 1 year, so I would imagine the buyout would be kind of ridiculous. And secondly, that's not my pick. Why on God's green earth would that be the guy at the first top of your list? There are two others at least that are up there, but one specifically that would jump up for me, and that's Chris Beard. He's young enough. He's a winner, and he's going to be. Rick says he thinks Notre Dame played the best game of their season so far, and that's probably true. They played extraordinarily well on both sides of the ball against Indiana in that CFP game. You know what? Let's just take a break. Get Coach Griff back in here, and we'll talk more about it as the CFP continues with this next round of games and bowl game, bowl season. It is upon us. It is here. We'll talk about all that and more from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this post-Christmas Thursday, right after this break. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com.
Hoosier Hanks East, located on College Ball Road in front of Kroger in Bloomington, is everything you could want. Great food like their custom pizzas, wings, wraps, unbeatable daily drink specials, live music on Fridays, and Hoosier Hanks East is home to Inside Indiana Football and Inside Indiana Basketball coaches shows hosted by Don Fisher. Be on the lookout for Hoosier Hanks ticket giveaways to Indiana and Colts games on social media. Stop by and meet Hoosier Hank at Hoosier Hanks East on College Ball Road in Bloomington. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Marie Island, Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Marie Island, Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, here on this Thursday, post-Christmas edition. Hope you had a good holiday. It's not done. We got New Year's coming up next week, and looking forward to that. That means a lot of football. Coach Shannon Griffith joins us, and Coach, the football schedule, man, it's rampant, but no one will be ignoring the CFP games that come along at the beginning of the week, but plenty of other games happening along the way as well. The one thing that is a distinct, without question, at least people who are listening to this show, is that they're not happy. They're done with basketball, and football has given them the ability to kind of relax and not take it as hard, especially with the success Indiana is having so far in the portal. recruiting. The one thing, and I understand it, and it sucks. Someone asked, what school has success in both football and basketball? Well, there's a number of those that is Michigan. They just won a national championship in football, and they'll be back in football quickly. Don't doubt. Trust me on that one. You've got a season that ended in a positive way for them, and basketball is trending in a positive way for them with Dusty May. Ohio State, think that it's going well for them as well. So it's not like that you can't have both just because Indiana never has. There's no reason. Just like, building Indiana football has been difficult, but the basketball program, there is absolutely zero excuse for that program not to be flying high in this day and age, especially when you have NIL and the transfer portal. That should have been an instant ticket, a golden ticket for Indiana to get back to being Indiana, but they have not been able to do that. They have had 4 years of just mediocrity, to be honest with you. And I'm gonna be honest with you, that's not going to change because there has been no change. That's why I say that. There's been no change in how the play has been on the court. There's been no play by the lack of wins. Indiana has not been a team that can beat a team from outside. They have lost in multiple years now to non-conference opponents and lost badly. So it is what it is. I'm not going to sit and beat on that dead horse, and because there's nothing that's going to happen. It is what it is, and football is a bright spot to look at. And how many people are looking forward to spring football already? I mean, the great thing about football, that's another great thing about football is, and had this been a normal year, Indiana would still be waiting to play in a very, very high-end New Year's Day bowl game.
Yeah.
Which I know that it's not better than playing in the college football playoffs now, but it kind of sucks that losing a first-round CFP game, you're done before the weak teams have even played their bowl games, man.
Yeah, I'm kind of I know that the college football playoffs, that first round, it's kind of, winner stays up, loser goes home. But in some reality, I almost feel like the teams that lose should get a consolation of a bowl game at some point, in that second week, kind of the New Year's Day bowl situation and stuff like that. But
the problem, another problem is it hits during portal time.
Yeah, I know.
And Signetti mentioned that. He's like, we can't, because we're focused on preparing, we can't have, the visits. It's you can't do both. You can't prepare your team at the top level and having a bunch of kids coming in to visit.
Yeah, I mean, it's in some respects from a coach's standpoint and the logistical aspects, playing in the college football playoffs in some respects gives you a better setup in terms of preparing for the recruiting component that everybody's in the midst of right now. And those teams that move on have to have the same, they have the same problems that everybody else does. It's a double-edged sword in some respects. And that's what I mean. I think there's a lot of things that have to be looked at by the NCAA and the schools as it pertains to the portal and when all that, and all that happening. They went to this early signing period for high school, which in some respects has made perfect sense because you get it done in December and, it falls between your last game and anything else that's going on. So that was a good move. They've got to do something with the portal, and they've got to figure out this, second semester start date being the end all be all on why the portal is the way it is. Because it doesn't make any sense in that regards, especially for the kids that are transferring, because all of a sudden, they're thrown in the midst of, okay, I'm going here. I've got to go back, move all my stuff, go back to this school, get all set up there. And it just doesn't seem like it's very student athlete friendly. So I don't know what the answer is. Pointing out problems and not providing a solution isn't always a great way to do this. But I do think there has to be something there that has to be really thought out in its entirety, because right now the way they're operating, I don't think is healthy for any football team, any coach, any player, and student athlete that's involved in all this.
No, and getting back to basketball for a second, Stephen R. asking, are you sure you don't have a vendetta against Mike Woodson because you always talk negative about how you basketball, they're not in bad shape. They're in better shape than Purdue is. You know what? I'm not looking at Purdue or anybody else. I'm looking at what I've seen. And what I've seen is this is a team that is in the 4th season under the same coach. First of all, it does not take 4 years to turn a basketball program around. A. B. They have not turned around. They are declining. They're not in good shape. I do not see this team making the NCAA tournament. They're not playing well. They're not winning games they're supposed to win by the margin they're supposed to win by. Part of the reason they didn't make the tournament last year was because of the metrics of doing the same thing, of barely beating inferior teams, which is the same thing they're doing again this year. They're not playing well. That's why. They're not going to finish well in this Big Ten. That's why. And that is the only reason. That is the reason and the only reason. It is what I see, Stephen. It's nothing else. I don't look at this as a fan. That's the thing that you don't understand is I just look at the facts. I look at things on how they are, and that's what I see. You don't have to agree with it, but it looks like the majority of people do. And so when the majority of people see the same thing, maybe you're not seeing it the way that it really is, but I'm not going to argue with you in your opinion. I'm going to give you mine, and that's it. You can take it for what it's worth, but that's it.
The biggest thing
how that's going to be
with happening to basketball is the money that was spent to bring all the talent that appears they've brought in.
Probably the highest payroll in all of the Big Ten.
And, this is what Ohio State was saying prior to football. They had a $20 million payroll or whatever they were with everything. And the one thing I think Indiana in basketball has lacked over the last few years has been the aggressiveness, especially on defense. They just seem too passive at times with the defensive side of the ball. Almost in that NBA-ish, mindset, kind of lackadaisical at times. But, I don't profess to have that much knowledge in terms of the coaching side of basketball, but it just doesn't seem at times that it's not at a standard that meets the aggressiveness needed to compete night in, night out, especially in the Big Ten. And when you talk basketball, but
yeah, it is what it is. So, I mean, that's not like I said, that's not a dead horse I'm going to beat on because it's going to just take care of itself. And no, I have no vendettas. I just give you my opinion. You don't have to like it or agree with it. It is what it is. And my opinions are based on what I see, period. And what I perceive as facts and then what I know. So there's that. And what I do know is Indiana football is in a position to build upon itself, not to just stand pat, but to get better. And they need to get better. Not that they weren't great this year. They had the greatest season in Indiana football history. So it's hard to say that they need to get better with a straight face. But the thing is they can get better. Because we've seen where they need to improve on. Now, that's easier said than done. Offensive linemen are probably, really good offensive linemen are probably one of the hardest positions to fill because there's not as many of them. There's not as many really good, big, strong, fast offensive linemen as there are wide receivers. Those guys are a dime a dozen. You can find them everywhere from any place.
Yeah, D lineman is another category that you can add to the equation of trying to find
trenches, baby, the trenches where it all starts and ends.
And that's why you've seen a lot of defenses go to just a true 3-down, true defensive lineman front. And on the offense, he's like, well, here's how I equate it. Ohio State, Michigan, they're kind of somewhere up here, and Indiana's somewhere right here. And if they're going to compete against that type of talent, Sig being through it the first time, being able to watch it with these eyes and understand if the differential between where Indiana is and where those type of teams are, you can see where there's got to be improvement made. Now, some of that's within your own program in terms of development, but also getting the right kid. And that's going to be the thing that Indiana is going to have to continue to work on in the recruiting game is, breaking the doors down on some of the kids that they can get that are highly recruited and sought after. And not to say that every one of those is the blue chipper that they are, but at the same time, most of those type of kids are the no doubt kids. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see the athletic ability that a kid that's either an offensive lineman or a wide receiver, quarterback, has, because everybody can see it with their eyes. So, yes, there's some talent level that has to be increased along the trenches for the most part is correct. But that's the way it's always been in football. I mean, that's why these teams like Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Texas, and some of them have always received the national attention headlines on the recruitment side, that they always get those type of kids. And there, it's kind of a reload and open the door and the kids come. So at the end of the day, that's the thing that, Sig's got to try to do is how can he just kind of chip away at the difference between where Indiana is and where the Ohio States, the Oregons, and those type of teams are, because he does fight the brand awareness, even with a great year. They're going to fight great year. You played nobody for the entire year, until they can either replicate what they did or come close to it, because with a new schedule, because that's going to be the narrative that some of these other teams are going to spin as it pertains to Indiana to try to keep them out of the front living rooms of some of the better talent around the country.
Yeah. And this is an opportunity. Indiana is a school that was known for basketball forever. Mm-hmm. And they're with good reason. One of the elite programs, and are a blue blood program that has not played to the blue blood level for a couple of decades now. And there's no excuse for it, because they still are recognized as a blue blood. Mm-hmm. If you say Indiana, it still means something. They just haven't done anything. And it's a sleeping giant. What Signetti or some others have said about Indiana football, what do you think Indiana basketball is? Indiana basketball is a sleeping behemoth, and it will awaken one day. The right Kurt Signetti, if Kurt Signetti is nothing else, he is pristine proof of the right guy at the right time makes it happen. And that will be the same for Indiana men's basketball. When you get the right guy at the right time, it will happen. But until then, it's not going to happen. And basketball is a hell of a lot easier to be successful at than football. It's a hell of a lot easier to turn around than football. It's just a numbers thing, people. So,
and if you look at it from the perspective, what Indiana football is in terms of the image, I guess you could say. But if Indiana football had the image that Indiana basketball has had for a number of years, irregardless of wins and losses. It's still a marquee name in the basketball world, right? If Indiana football had that gap would close very quickly for Coach Cignetti and others, because like you said, it's the right type of guy getting in the driver's seat of the college basketball team. So, I mean, that's what Indiana football has fought for years. They've always been the little brother to the basketball program, and rightfully so, because of the success and all that Indiana basketball has had. Well, we can see now with Indiana's basketball having struggled and Curt Cignetti just lighting a match, and Indiana football has skyrocketed in terms of, image around not just the state of Indiana, but the alums and things like that. It's almost in some respects replaced the basketball because, like you said earlier, people are wondering when spring practice starts. They're active in who's being recruited and what type of player is this individual.
Never has that ever happened.
Right. And it's kind of like it's flipped, and that's the thing that Coach Cignetti and his staff have been able to do is they've got lightning in a bottle. Now they've set a standard. Now they got to live up to that standard, and Coach Cignetti will, make sure the standard is kept with everything. But, you talked about the bowl season coming up, Jim. There's some great games today when you look at the calendar. I mean, you got Pitt versus Toledo. That's going to be a good one. Rutgers and Kansas State. That should be a dandy of a game. Tomorrow, you've got, let's see, Arkansas, Texas Tech, I think will be good, but USC, Texas A&M, and this is where the Big Ten will help themselves. And
how USC made a bowl game, is remarkable. Remarkable.
Yeah. And again, this is where
now Rutgers and A&M, is that right? I mean, USC and A&M.
USC and Texas A&M are playing.
Now, there would be nothing greater than a Big Ten 500 team to beat A&M. I want every Big Ten team to beat every SEC team that plays, and every SEC team that plays, I want to lose this year, simply because I am sick and tired of listening to Greg Sankey, sick and tired of listening to Lane Kiffin, sick and tired of listening to Kirk Herbstreit. Yeah. I hope they all get their ass beat.
Yeah. Well, you know what the excuse for the bowls will be.
It's a bowl game. They didn't care.
Well, the number of opt-outs, but nowadays you can say, well, you can control the opt-outs by just making sure when you give them NIL money that you make sure
that's the great question that I've had. Why are these schools or collectives not tying NIL through the completion of the season?
Absolutely.
You have to be a part of the team until the season is completed, unless you are injured and deemed unplayable.
Well, correct. I mean, you look at Colorado and what Dion has got playing against BYU in the Alamo Bowl here coming up.
Colorado.
He's got the Heisman Trophy winner. He's playing. He's got his son playing. These are top, round draft picks.
I think that Dion did not want to be a part of that discussion, and he had those discussions with those guys saying, hey, I need you all to play. Because, that shows Dion's going to be there next year, and he wants a positive finish for his team to go on.
Well, it's the right message that Dion is sending out to the rest of the conference, all the other different
the rest of college football, in my opinion.
Right. Exactly. Where he's saying, look, you opting out of a game because you're worried about X, Y, and Z is ludicrous.
Who it's coming from means a ton.
Absolutely. Like I said, Travis Hunter, don't you think he's going to be a top, first round draft pick and make multi-millions? And then,
and it's not just him. I'm talking about Dion.
Yeah.
Coming from Dion, that means a lot. I think
and
as a coach.
He said it. He said, if you want to be an NFL player, putting things on tape is the most important thing. And a bowl game gives you that opportunity to be in the spotlight more like no other time in the year, because there's not that many games going on. But when you have kids that are opting out for the wrong reasons, and there are many that are, he thinks it's a negative. He thinks general managers look at that as a cop-out, because you're going to have to play hurt in the NFL. I mean, there's guys playing hurt right now in the NFL that are not 100%. And so they know that their money's tied to their performance, and that's the way it is. And like you said, I think we're going to have to do it in college football. Is like you said, you're going to have to play the entire year. If you decide to opt out because of no other reason, you just aren't going to play, then it needs to cost them in the pocketbook. And whatever that magical number is, make it hurt, because it's time to stop the nonsense about these guys opting out in these games and stuff. So let that be. I mean, I've said it, but yeah, Missouri plays Iowa. That's another Big Ten SEC matchup in the Music Bowl. You got Alabama and Michigan. That will be a huge one. South Carolina and Northern Illinois. That is the Citrus Bowl. That will be December 31st, and that will be a dandy of a game, because
Michigan, I don't see Michigan having a great chance against Alabama just because they don't have the offense. But we've seen that Alabama's offense can be shut down by Oklahoma.
It will depend on who's playing for Alabama now. And I know they've already had opt-outs, so you just don't know who's going to be lining up for Alabama, so it automatically may be a difference maker in that regard. But South Carolina, Northern Illinois is going to be huge game. And then, you get into the college football playoffs, of course, and you got Texas, Arizona State. That will be an interesting one. Arizona State getting the bye because they were the Big 12 champion. I do think the byes need to go by the wayside in terms of who is a conference champion. But
I don't think that there's a question of that. The sad thing is all these changes that we know needs to happen, like the byes, reseeding, will not happen for until 26.
Unless
that's the contract. And it's unfortunate because I'm like, okay, why can't you reach out, ask the people? It just takes a vote. This is not going to require this major change here. So these are changes that could be made, but won't be made until this particular system runs its course.
Well, I think, from the standpoint of the college football playoffs, the one thing that I do think the committee or whoever's on the committee again next year, I do think they have to say what the criteria is and lay it out and be fully transparent. Supposedly they do this with ESPN in the summer, where they have this big ESPN conference where they bring in the committee to be asked questions and go over how they do things. And I guess what was said then versus what was proven with the playoffs was kind of a black and white situation in terms of what was said there was oppositely totally different than what ended up happening as it pertains to the playoffs. But I do think the committee has to come out and state, these are the criteria. If you have X number of losses, you are no longer going to be considered. So if a team has 3 or 4 losses, irregardless of what conference you're in or who you are, you're not going to be considered. And that will eliminate the BS that's gone on for the last 3 or 4 weeks. But the big game, Oregon, Ohio State rematch, I don't like those, but it's going to be a classic Rose Bowl matchup. Actually, Ohio State is
I expect Ohio State to win that game.
Yeah, I think Ohio State is probably the best team that Indiana has played. I think they're better than Notre Dame. What's Pecan want? Please talk about James Evans, the IU punter.
Oh, I just put that up there. We'll get to that. But James Evans, man, he was so solid for Indiana all season long with 2 exceptions. Ohio State and Notre Dame and was horrible. I mean, the best to say, it was just really bad. And I hate that for him because he's done such a great job. I don't know what happened. Now, the punts at Notre Dame, they were really bad. Was that the bad weather? But
I think the cold had a lot to do with that one. But dropping the ball and stuff at Ohio State didn't help.
No, but even I mean, Notre Dame's punter didn't have quite as much trouble, but it didn't work, whatever the case. There was not one thing that cost Indiana both of those games, but the punting did not help. Indiana's offense at Notre Dame didn't do much to help the defense, and the defense didn't play horribly.
No.
They gave up 27 points, but the offense didn't help them. Notre Dame was never in bad field position except for one time, and they rip off a freaking one-play 98-yard damn touchdown off left tackle. That never works, but it worked that time, and boy, did it.
Yeah, you make a mistake, get out of your gap, and it's 88 out the gate.
I mean, take that 98-yard run away, and Indiana's defense plays pretty decent again.
Yeah, right.
So
and they hold love to something in the neighborhood of like 30 yards or something like that.
Yeah, it comes down to just other mistakes, but making mistakes, and
they get amplified
they did both on the road in daunting environments.
No question. But those type of mistakes against those type of teams, when they are here and you're somewhere around here, you cannot make those mistakes. I think even Bryant said something to that effect in his presser, that the margin for error against an Ohio State or a Notre Dame is much, much smaller than it is against anybody else. And that was the one big thing that I think they all learned, is that margin for error is, you don't have it. It's virtually nil, and you have to play almost perfect football, especially when you're a little outman against those type of teams, to have a chance to win it, And I think that's what happened in James's situation. Those two games, Ohio State and Notre Dame, he punted probably more in those two games than he did the rest of the season, because he wasn't punting that much because Indiana was converting in third down. So, but yeah, the Georgia Notre Dame game, I know Georgia's going to lose their starting quarterback, who I wasn't all that high on anyway. This backup may be better, but if I had to compare Ohio State and Notre Dame, I don't think there's any question that Ohio State is a better and more talented team than Notre Dame is. And I'm not trying to throw shade against Notre Dame. I'm just trying to say those two teams, there's a difference between those two teams. And I think Ohio State has the differential, especially at all the skill positions and when it comes to it. But I'm with you. I think the Big Ten has a big chance here on a national stage to try to beat some of these SEC schools head to head, to calm down some of this SEC bias that we're seeing run rampant through the national media, ESPN, and these guys that want to use subjectivity about what their eyes are telling them. Paul Feinbaum wouldn't know his what from anything else, because the dude's never played. He's never coached. Yeah, he's a loudmouth for the SEC, has been for a numerous number of years. So I don't want to hear, his commentary on who he thinks the best are. But I thought what Troy Aikman and the Monday Night Crew kind of said what needed to be said as it pertained to their ESPN brethren about some things. Have you ever seen that, especially at the mothership, the ESPN mothership, the amount of infighting that has come about because of the playoffs and Ryan Day's status? I mean, you have Kurt Herbstreit, who just goes on a tear about not only who's in the national playoffs, but also those that wanted Ryan Day to be fired. And then talking about First Take and how they had him out the door, and then Troy Aikman
That's what they want. They enjoy that stuff because it stimulates more talk and
sure it does.
More viewers. And speaking of which, we got to take a quick break. Our last break.
Sorry. I'm talking
no, we've got plenty more to talk about, and we'll do it when we come back on the other side from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this post-Christmas Thursday. Coach Griffith with us talking some college football. Back with more right after this. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing, or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition, or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer, and your best place for new and used vehicles. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle with the Fresh Fork. Chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. Proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at thefreshforkonline.com. Use promo code RADIO20 and get $20 off of your first order. Hungry for something a little different? Well, head to the Rusty Gator Fork and Ale in Bedford, where oceanic flavors meet southern charm with a Cajun flair, like their loaded voodoo fries, gator bite, or jambalaya, and so much more. The Rusty Gator also has live music each Friday and Saturday night with some of the best local and regional artists around. Visit the Rusty Gator Fork and Ale in Bedford and get your Cajun on. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, here on this post-Christmas Thursday. Thank you so much for being with us here at the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Coach Shannon Griffith with me, and we are talking college football as the bowl season is upon us. The college football playoffs continue at the beginning of the week. When is the first game, Coach? Is it on the 31st on Tuesday?
Yeah, it's let's see here.
And are all games on they're split up on both days, right?
There's one on the 31st, and then the rest are on New Year's Day, I believe. Well, I take that back. They're all on January 1. I'm sorry. Penn State Boise is on the 31st. Then the rest of the final three are on January 1st. So kind of like the first round, one Friday night game and then three. Well, it'll be Tuesday and Wednesday. So
going through these, I've already said, I think Ohio State beats Oregon. And Oregon, no doubt, has the toughest road to hoe. That's another thing that will be
the unfair
changed.
part.
That's another thing. But I saw this coming a mile away before the Big Ten championship game. I said the best thing for Penn State is to lose this game. They wind up with a great path. And I mean, how dumb is it that losing is the best thing for you to do?
Right.
And that was exactly the case, as we knew how it was going to work out because of the guaranteed buys, which that will go away. And unfortunately, I think that our friend Mike DeCourcy is absolutely against the guaranteed seed or guaranteed positions in the playoffs. And I agree. You should not be guaranteed. Big Ten or SEC should not be guaranteed X number of spots, because now you're going to force that takes away, to me, your games still matter because of that. When you're guaranteed something, you're like, we don't even have to win this weekend.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case. But
right, I believe you.
Today, I think that I'm glad it worked out the way it did this year. The seeding is what it is. That's a screw up that was there, because if you look through, I had it pulled up on the favorites, and let's see. Yeah. Okay. Boise State is playing Penn State. Boise State received a bye.
Mm-hmm.
They're a 10.5 point underdog.
Yeah.
There's no way that a team that gets an automatic bye should be a double-digit underdog. They're more of an underdog by Vegas than what Indiana lost by. But yet Indiana's the team that didn't belong. Give me a break. Arizona State is a 13.5 point underdog. Another team given a bye, but Indiana's the team that didn't belong.
Yeah.
Give me a break. Oregon is only a 2.5 point. Oregon's a 2.5 point underdog to Ohio State. Oregon doesn't get a home game either. So that's, Georgia. This one surprises me a little bit. Georgia is a 2.5 point favorite. I don't see that personally. I think Notre Dame is in better position, but I don't know. Georgia they might be okay with their backup quarterback. I don't know that they lose that much there.
Well, it's up a full point because it started out as a 1.5 point game. And I think that's because of Georgia losing their starting quarterback for the rest of the year.
But yet, if this was Florida State, man, oh boy. But yet, Indiana, Indiana's the team that doesn't belong.
Yeah. The Florida State people have been chiming in ever since too. But I was quite honestly, I thought that would be, if Beck was playing, I'm guessing that's probably a 6 point game in terms of the odds makers making Georgia a 6 point favorite in that game. And I'm not so sure they won't cover that with ease in some respects. It'll be interesting, that game. We'll see how Notre Dame plays it. If they stay aggressive like they have been all year, bringing backers, playing man-to-man on the outside, and if Georgia can, survive it. And this is where a mobile quarterback could hurt Notre Dame in a game where they're bringing backers and a quarterback can have the escapability to get outside of contain. That's where a guy like, in some respects, Mendoza is going to be very, very helpful to Indiana next year because of that quality that he has. But that'll be these are all going to be good ball games. I don't care, kind of who looks at it any other way, but I'm anxious to see the Arizona State Texas game. Texas is another team that Indiana was the bad team according to all the pundits, but Texas had the same identical almost schedule as Indiana and no top 25 wins, and here they are ranked third in the NCAA polls and at the tournament and stuff. But I'm anxious to see Scatterboo and how he does against Texas. Scatterboo. And Arizona State was one of those teams like South Carolina that was probably playing some of the better football towards the end of the year as well.
You get to see Ashton Genty against this Penn State vaunted Tom Allen defense.
Yeah, that'll be interesting too, because that kid is a difference maker. And
he's going to get his. Him and Scattaboo are just, first of all, you can't get low enough to tackle Scattaboo.
Yeah.
The lower you go, which is what you're supposed to do in football, get low, doesn't work against Scattaboo. He's wherever you are, he's lower than you.
Yeah, he's about.
I don't know how that's possible.
Yeah,
dude is like he's like a stealth fighter down there,
a tank
with power.
Yeah, he is amazing, amazing player. And again, he's another kid that came from, the mid-major arena and has kind of lit it up at Arizona State. And hey, they've been playing well, and they've found their way into the tourney by winning the Big 12 championship. And again, like you said, I do think the seeding and things like that have to be adjusted and look at it from that way. But I do think after everything is said and done and everything's wrapped up, I do think this will be another year for change in college football, knowing what we've been through already, but all the different things that will come about with the settlements, the profit sharing in terms of each school getting about 20 million. How that is all going to, how's that going to be divided up? I know that
there's plenty of that discussion's going to go on, and
that's going to be like 80% goes to football or something like that. So it's going to be an interesting offseason as well.
Well, man, it's been an interesting day. I cannot believe it filled up so quick. And we could go all day long about this, but big thanks to Bob Kravitz and, of course, to Coach Shannon Griffith. Mostly important to you guys. Without you, we have no reason to be here. We're back tomorrow to do it all again to finish out the week. Merry Christmas. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.